SkinGen, the plugin for Character Creator 3 that allows you to really customize and enhance the skin and appearance of your character. We'll get into a lot more in just a moment. But before we get started, all the typical stuff, we are recording this webinar for posterity. So if I go through anything too fast, or if you want to review something, we are recording it and we'll send you a recording of the webinar after the webinar. And in addition to that, we'll also be sending you a survey. So if you fill out that survey, I'll give you a 10% discount for the content store. That's what we'll give you. If you fill out that survey for us and give us any suggestions for future webinars, feedback and all that stuff, whatever you want to say. And we'll get you that 10% discount for the content store, like I mentioned. So make sure you fill that out. And we are broadcasting this live on YouTube as well. So if you want to join on YouTube, you can do so. I'm not going to be answering questions on YouTube. We will have a Q&A session at the very end of today's webinar, and that will be done using the Zoom application. And if you have any questions, please put those questions at any time in the Q&A section of the Zoom panel there, and I'll be able to answer those following the webinar. I'm not going to be answering any questions from the chat windows. Just be aware of that. I may put some links occasionally in the chat window if it comes up organically, but that's about it. I think, let's see. Yeah, that about covers it. So again, thanks so much everyone for attending. Looks like we have a good turnout today. And just to preface this, we're going to be talking about the basics of SkinGen. More like an introduction. We'll go through kind of like a beginner's guide for the SkinGen plugin. And then tomorrow we have another webinar. You can see on the screen right now. This is today's webinar, just talking about generating a basic character. We'll show her in just a moment, and kind of the things that you can do to modify her appearance, make her older and more decrepit. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about kind of a more stylized character with custom maps and customized blemishes and dramatic lighting and all kinds of cool stuff that we didn't cover in today's webinar. So it's more like a two-part webinar, I guess. You'll learn all the basics in today's webinar. If you want to learn a bit more of some of the advanced stuff. Not too advanced, not some of the crazy cool stuff you've seen in our character creation competitions, but the basic stuff using only Character Creator, maybe a little bit of Photoshop. Anyways, okay, that's the outline. So today we're going to be talking about the basic UI. I'm going to assume you don't really have much knowledge about SkinGen and basic modification of your character. And then we'll talk about finally some outdoor lighting in iClone. Some nice natural kind of lighting. All right, and before we get on further as well, in the content store, as always, there's our weekly special. So make sure you check out the content store. And today we have a weekly special updated every Thursday. So this one's good for another 2 days. And this is an Endearment Volume 2 Lovers. Has 46 motions, 23 eye props in here, down from 149 if you're doing export, down to $9. So pretty cool stuff. This has some interactive motions between two characters. So you have like two characters hugging each other and whatnot, and all the stuff Endearment lovers do. So I'll put this in the chat window for you guys if you want to take a look at it. $9, that's pretty much what a latte is these days. Or maybe I'm just out of touch. Where is it here? There we go. Jabadoo. All right, there's our pack there in the chat window. Okay, so just a little brief overview of the website for SkinGen. From the main site, we'll go through the main site here just to show you where to find it. You probably know already. Reillusion, products, Character Creator. Okay, and then in Character Creator, you'll have add-ons and you'll have SkinGen Premium Plugin. And it always opens up a tab every time. I kind of hate that, but we'll close those tabs. So here you are in the SkinGen Premium plugin. So now, just as a preface here, Character Creator 3 comes with a free version of SkinGen. It's a little bit limited compared to SkinGen Premium. So this is the plugin right here. SkinGen Premium has a few things. We'll just go through the overview really quickly. You can basically import in your own texture maps for imported special effects, like these kind of I don't know, bacteria or lumps on the character skin. You can create something like this with a custom texture map you can bring in. You can't do that on the free version, so just be aware of that. That's one of the main things, bringing in your own custom texture maps. There's also a number of different tools that are available. We'll talk more about the tools in tomorrow's webinar. We won't really cover that today, but just kind of tools where you can generate and create your own custom maps as well. And then UV transfer from DAZ. So if you have your DAZ character, you know, sometimes there's a bit of an issue with getting the UV transferred, especially if your character has tattoos and stuff like that. We have a tutorial that I did a few months ago that goes into more detail, and I'd be happy to share you a link for that a little bit later on if you want. So yeah, if you want to purchase, basically, I'd recommend purchasing the 4-in-1 bundle. It's on a super discount right now, and it has been since launch. That's going to be up until this end of this month here, Q4. So we have our Christmas special stuff going on, the holiday sale you can see over here. Just a bunch of templates that you can use to start with. And we'll talk a little bit about some of these templates a little bit later on. So if you want a head start with your content creation, then a lot of these packs are very worthwhile, especially the human anatomy set, which we'll talk about later. Okay, I think I've done enough blabbering about the outline and everything of character creator SkinGen. Here's our character that we're going to create. You know, she looks fairly normal. A little bit of age. If we zoom in on the skin here, you can see we have some nice nice pores on the character. Some very faint age spots. Again, this particular character, I haven't done anything really extreme with her because it's just we're just kind of starting off here and showing you the basics. But this is kind of what you're going to be able to generate. Very realistic skin, very realistic pores on your character's skin. And we'll talk about how to achieve this as we go through our webinar. Okay, so let's find out where SkinGen is. There's a couple different panels, windows you can access here. You can always go up to Windows, and you can find these panels up here: Content Manager, Scene Manager, etc., etc. And plugins can be found here. SkinGen Premium. You can learn about it. It doesn't, because basically it's already loaded in. There's not much to load up there. Okay, and you should have some tabs open here. If you don't, you can find them over there. But what used to be the appearance editor, which is this tab up here, if you go to your modify tab, what used to be the appearance editor right here, you can see it still says appearance on the tab, but this is basically where we now can activate our SkinGen editor. Okay, so I already have the SkinGen editor activated, and there's 3 different sections here. There's outfits, there's makeup, and there's skin. Right now we are in the makeup section, and as soon as I click on skin, if I go over here, what's going to happen is all the makeup is going to be removed, because it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 process. Okay, so you start off with skin, and then you go to makeup, and then you finish off with the outfits. You'll see underneath the skin here that we have all sorts of different items here. Now we call these layers. You can see this character has quite a few different layers, from cheek wrinkles to pores and all that fun stuff. We'll talk about this as we move along here. The material we currently have selected is the head. If we go to something like the body, you'll see less layers here because we're focusing on the face in this webinar today. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So you can see with the body, there's only a couple things: an aged, wrinkled, normal map, and a scar. Okay, so we'll go back to our head. Some of you may have computers that lack processing resources, like poor me over here. I just have my laptop, which I'm using right now. You can also, if you want to have faster performance, you can decrease the texture resolution over here. So you go to texture and change that to like 512 by 512, for example. What that's going to do is that's going to process it, and you'll see that it will show up a lot less detailed, okay, on the character's face. But again, if you're just adding stuff and you want it to add quicker and you want a faster performance, then it's often recommended to use your texture map at maybe not 512, maybe even like 1024. But yeah, I find that 2048 is okay with my processor. I have a 1070 GTX NVIDIA, so it's not crazy good, but not crazy bad either. It's pretty much your run-of-the-mill graphics card these days, and also RAM and processing speed plays a lot into this as well, particularly RAM in this case. So make sure you have some solid-state RAM that's a higher amount, hopefully like 16 gigabytes. You can see I only have 8 gigabyte of video memory here. So video memory on the top left here, you can see your video memory, and we can talk more about that later if you want. Okay, but what I'm going to do here is we're just going to basically delete all this stuff, and we're going to start from scratch on our character. So you can see if I go to makeup, we have all these layers in makeup that'll load up in just a moment here. And what I'm going to do is show you one by one how to kind of remove those layers. There's a couple of ways you can remove them, and I'll show you one by one how to do it. So you can toggle the visibility of each layer with the little eye icon on the left here. Okay, so you can see the lips. We just basically added some lip makeup on our character. If you want to totally remove that, we can right click and we can go delete. We can also delete all layers as well for the current material or all materials. Current material would mean the material up here, which is the head. Okay, so if we delete all layers for current material, it's going to delete all the material on the head. So let's go ahead and try that. Boom, no more makeup. And you can see it also takes the eyebrows off as well, because eyebrows are actually part of the makeup in this case. Okay, we throw the eyebrows on after all the skin stuff. Okay, so let's go down to since we have no more layers on our makeup, let's go down to skin. And it's going to show the same. There's not going to be any difference now. You can also delete them one by one. You can see we have this little scar up here, right by her upper nose there. Make that visible. I can delete a single item by right-clicking it and going delete. Again, you can also click on it and press the delete button. You can also click on this oily, for example, and you can see we have the opacity level, which is very important. If I take the opacity down to 0, you'll notice that the skin is very flat and dull. I recommend using like oily layers on your skin to kind of emphasize wrinkles and pores. You'll see if I increase the opacity to something like 80, for example, you'll see a very strong specular highlight along the forehead and along the cheeks and stuff like that. And if we rotate our camera, you'll see that that becomes very noticeable. The pores become a lot more noticeable when you have very oily skin. Okay, so just be aware of that. Try to balance it out, though. Obviously, you wouldn't normally want something this oily. You'd probably take it down a notch to 50 or something like that. Halfway is normally pretty good. Okay, and that's just enough to give it more emphasis, but it also doesn't look too oily. It doesn't look like she's sweating or something like that, or an extremely oily face. Again, so what you can do is you can select this oily layer right here. You can duplicate it if you want. You can show or hide it, and you can also go here and delete it. There's also a delete button right here. So delete selected layer. Let's just delete the oil. Okay, boom. And then there's this slight facial acne, for example. You can see it's very, very light. There's one little on the cheek there, and one up here on the head. We'll talk about this a little bit later on if we select that. We can make the opacity larger. You can see there's just two slight pimples there on that part of the face. Okay, so that's what I want to start off with, is kind of just deconstruct everything for you. You can see how each layer has an effect on the face. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to start from scratch here. I'll just go over here on the top, and we don't need to save this. Okay, it'll deactivate the SkinGen session. Don't worry about that, since we're going to start from scratch. And we're going to take a character and just kind of, age her a little bit, okay? And I'm not going to go to the extreme age levels. I'll try and make it appear like she's going maybe from her 20s to her, we'll say 60s or something. Celebrities these days, they have all sorts of plastic surgery, so they can very well be in 65 or something. Goldie Hawn or someone like that comes to mind, and they look still quite young. Okay, so let's just zoom in on our character's face here. This is our default standard character. We'll just get a nice view right here. Okay, this is our CC3 base plus character that comes standard with Character Creator 3.3. Okay, so you can see the the editor is not active yet, even though we're in the appearance mode there. There's also a number of different content. I want to go to the content manager here. And if you go to your project bases here, avatars, you'll find the human anatomy pack. So this is the one that comes with the content pack that I mentioned before. This comes as a free bonus with the 4-in-1 content pack. And this allows you to, has a few different characters that allow you to start off with like really nice looking characters that are already pre-made basically. I don't want to load these up right now because it'll just kind of waste time. We're going to make our character look like that anyways. So I mean, you could save time and just click on male old and change the gender if you wanted to. Or we can, take the long route, which is what we're going to do right now, and age this female character on the screen. So let's go ahead and start that. Again, we'll go to the Modify tab up here and activate Editor. Okay, and it's going to just basically load up our SkinGen premium plugin and load up those maps, and then we'll start throwing on layers. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about skin normals. So if you're not familiar with what a normal map is generally used to create sort of texture. It doesn't normally have color on it. It's just used to create texture. And you'll see when we load the editor here, there's a number of different layers that are already added onto our character. Okay, if we don't want these layers, for example, we can make them all invisible right here. We can show or hide everything, hide all layers on the current material. Not much of a difference. Okay, it's a very subtle difference on our character's face. Let's zoom in a slight bit more so you can kind of see it. Something like that. If we make them all show all layers, the current material, you can see very slight effect on the pores and everything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all these. We'll start from scratch. Okay, delete current material. Boom. We'll still have this skin base. Okay, the skin base is just standard that comes with every character. It won't delete this. Okay, so you see it has the basic skin-based texture maps and everything. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But let's get started in the content. So in the content, you have two main sections that you want to worry about with SkinGen Premium. We have the skin section right here and the makeup section. So there's two sections, skin up here and makeup. We're going to start with the skin. Now in skin, you can see there's a number of different folders here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they correspond with these areas up here. Right? If I go from this one, for example, full skin, you'll see it'll change folder. Skin base, will change folder. Normal effects. Okay, so they correspond with all these folders down here. Just be aware of that. So in the overall section, there's some really quick templates you can throw in. Now you'll see that I have a separate folder called Realistic Human Skin. And this is a part of that 4-in-1 content pack that I mentioned earlier. So if you get that 4-in-1 content pack, then you'll have a number of different preset skin effects that are included that you can just double click and apply really quickly to your character. Say, for example, I wanted to have this female old preset. Okay, if I double click that, it's going to take a while. It's going to load up a whole bunch of maps on our character, and it's just going to give me a female old preset. Okay, I don't want to wait for that right now because we're going to delete it anyways. We're going to go one by one. We're not going to use, I mean, that's the simple solution. Use the overall, and you can start from there. But of course, we have to kind of explain it one by one here. So, and then there's the full skin. So full skin is essentially the same thing, but you can see this one is only normal maps. Okay, so kind of blemishes and normal maps. You're not dealing with colors and bases and stuff like that. So the characters are all kind of white and gaunt looking. Okay, skin base. There's different skin bases here as well. These are the color ones. So generally the colors are all found in here. Right? We're not going to worry about those again here. We're going to start off one by one with the normal effects. Okay, so normal effects, very, very important section here. In normal effects, we have facial wrinkles, stuff for the body. We're not going to worry about the body in this webinar. There's noise and there's levels. We're going to start off with the basic stuff, which is levels. Okay, because we want to add the pores first. And levels, you can see in levels under face, these are basically the pores on your character. Now there's varying degrees of pores here, and they're all numbered. There's number 1, number 2 at the beginning of all these names, and number 3. We're going to throw in this maybe secondary normal F. The F stands for female. Okay, so when we load this in, if we double click it, again we already have our SkinGen editor loaded up. What this is going to do is this is going to add some pores onto our character. You can see it kind of, if we focus a little bit on this area here and zoom in really quick, you'll notice that these pores are more around this area. And you'll see if we make it invisible, boom, that's the difference. Okay, so it just adds like another additional layer of pores onto the character's skin. Now, if we select it, you can see the opacity is only at 50. You can increase that opacity to 100 and take it down to 0. You can see the results there. So secondary pores, I find are very, very useful. We can probably get a good look at the forehead is here as well. Take that down to 0. So you'll see the result right there. Take it up to 100. You know, very, very easy to see up close the difference between those two. Okay, now, I mean, you can say, yeah, she's older, so her pores are a bit larger, perhaps through a process of aging. We'll take it up to something maybe like 85. Okay, we don't want it to be too extreme, but again, we want it to be noticeable. Okay, so we've only added one layer onto our skin, and already it looks, you know, fairly natural looking. Especially if we zoom in, you know, we get the pores and everything. It's easy to see if you adjust your light angle along the edge of the light and the darkness, you'll see a lot more detail of what you're actually adding. And you can actually just press the / key. Whoops, not right now. But you can adjust your lighting later on to find out, you know, different angles of the face. Okay, so our secondary right there. Now you can also increase the normal strength here. Okay, this is down here in global settings. Obviously, we wouldn't want to increase it that much because that looks a little bit extreme. I probably want to take this down, you know, to a reasonable level. Okay, just like that. I think yeah, 0.3 is fine. You can also blur it as well. So every texture map really is going to have a blur that you can use it in various capacities. The color. We don't want the color to be too strong because what happens is it doesn't have much of an effect in this case, but if we take it down, you know, we'd have to increase the opacity and the normal to see that a bit more. I'm not going to worry too much about the rest of these here. This mask type is convert from normal. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. There's different areas. Control. What that's going to do is that's going to basically collapse all of my layers here. And I want to do this because I want to show you the different layers. So we have the forehead, frown. If we open this up, we go to texture settings. You can see which part of the face this is active on. So if I go to the forehead, it's obviously everyone knows what the person's forehead is. If we mouse over that map there, you can see it's sort of like a white, kind of blurred blob at the kind of the top there. Now this is basic. This corresponds with our character's facial map. Okay, if we go back to our skin base right here, and we mouse over our base color map, this is our base color map right here. Okay, so if you can recall, that white area was kind of over top of our character's forehead. So we can modify the normal areas separately. This is a very important concept to learn for basically any texture map, any material, because you can mask out different areas and have different effects on different areas. So let's go back to the secondary map here. Pay attention to our forehead here. Let's take the opacity all the way up here just so we can get a better look. And if we deactivate that, it's going to remove the pores from the forehead, but not from the cheek area. Okay. If we activate that again, you'll see the pores appear on the head there, but not on the cheek area. So very important. And we're just gonna I just wanted to show you that first because, you know, there's different parts, the cheek, the eye region, you can modify them all separately. Just keep that in mind. We'll take this down again to like 90 or something. Okay, so let's continue on with the content because we're going to be basically following the same process as we add on the layers. So the tertiary, this is the tertiary layer for pores. If we throw this on and go to add here, you'll see that this one has more widespread pores, and the opacity is very low. Take that very high. You'll see the tertiary one has a very strong effect. Okay, so this is something that we want. This is one of them that we really want to try and balance a lot. Again, we don't want this to be too high. Maybe a value, I think it was at 30 originally, and even 30 is fairly high, I think. But you can see the pores there. And you can also see the normal map here. If I mouse over the normal map, you probably can't see much of it, but there's this very, very slight porridge, can I say porridge? On the face, in the middle area where the tertiary is supposed to be. Okay, and this is the same thing. You know, all the different colors, again, or not colors rather, the different normal strengths, we can increase that, decrease that. Again, you don't want it to be too crazy, but you do want it to be noticeable. And then the other areas down here, which we'll talk about those areas more in tomorrow's webinar. But for now, I'm just going to keep on adding stuff in here. So let's go ahead and add the micro normal for the female. And again, you want to add the map. You don't want to replace the current layer that you have selected. Okay, this one's very hard to notice. You can see it just adds a bit more detail onto that skin there. Okay, so we've only messed around with the pores. We already have a lot more of a natural looking skin. So the pores are kind of where I normally start from. Again, everyone has their own different process here, but for me, the pores is where I like to start from, and I like to go into other things from there, like the wrinkles. Okay, so I'm going to go to the content here, and we'll twirl up levels, and we'll go into facial wrinkle. Okay, so there's different facial wrinkles for different facial parts, and we have facial wrinkle templates as part of the realistic human skin pack here as well. So these are kind of like full facial wrinkles that you can apply to your character. Again, I'll show you a quick example, like maybe this one right here, facial wrinkle 06. Let's go ahead and add this on. And you can see that adds wrinkles. There's 2 wrinkles layers that it adds. Okay, so there's wrinkles broad right here, like that. And then there's wrinkles fine, so fine wrinkles. And again, this is a content pack that this is a part of the realistic human skin content pack. Highly recommend picking it up anyways. You can see we can increase the opacity right there. So, I mean, this could save you a lot of time just by throwing in this wrinkle template. And then again, you can modify these wrinkles as much as you want, so on and so forth. What I'll do is I'll just, let's just remove the wrinkle broad here. I'll keep that, I think it's fine. And then we can add in even more wrinkles onto our character's face. So we'll go to the content. And then there's facial part. Again, these are all included with Character Creator 3 Premium. You have, again, some for the realistic human parts, facial parts. These are the ones that are included. So we have the eye creases. In case we double click on eye crease, we'll add that in. But again, I'd recommend, really recommend checking out the realistic human skin content pack, because that's where you find all the really detailed facial wrinkles. And again, these are all caused by normal maps. Forehead wrinkles. This character probably needs some forehead wrinkles. Maybe forehead wrinkle 2 here. This would be some fairly extreme wrinkles. So you can see again, the whole process is that might be a little bit strong. Let's delete that one. Yeah, the whole process is basically just layering stuff one over the other. And at the very end, we'll talk a little bit about morphing your face to kind of adapt to the wrinkles on the face. Okay, that looks fun. So again, we're aiming for about 60 years old. So we'll go to Content Manager, and that's basically it for the facial wrinkles and for the normal effect. There's also noise as well. Noise is something that if I go to like noise pattern 2 medium here, for example, and apply this, go ahead and add that. What you're going to see is a little bit of a difference in the skin texture, and it's a little bit hard to explain this one because this one is only for the body. Okay, it doesn't apply to the head; it applies to the body. So if we go down here to our character's body, it's almost like if we take the opacity down to 0, and then we go to like 100. There you'll see the result right there. It's kind of like a roughness almost in the texture, but you'll see it won't affect the face. Okay. So the noise is only a body effect. Okay, so if you want to add, a bit more noise to your character's body, obviously you normally wouldn't want that one unless they have some kind of psoriasis or something like that. And again, you can always mask this in certain areas as well to create rashes if you wanted to. I'm going to just delete that one. That's just what the noise is. Okay, let's continue on. And from normal effects, we'll go to skin details. Now, skin details, some of my favorite ones are in here that have the most effect on your character's face. Coloration is one that I really like. In coloration, there's a dull skin. There's a hemoglobin one, which is very noticeable. Okay, so this kind of just creates some blush, excuse me, almost like rosacea kind of effect on your skin. And this is a template that's included with Character Creator 3. You see a very light effect. Let's change the opacity so you can see it more. There you go. Okay, so it's almost like a patchiness on the skin, maybe like an alcoholic had like a redder area on the nose, and you can increase the normal strength. Not going to have an effect in this because it's not really a normal map. But what does have an effect is the color and the opacity. If we take that down, you'll see the effect right there. Okay. Now keep in mind that this also has different areas. So if I control minus this, we have part 1, part 2, and part 3. So part 1 is our active texture setting. If you deactivate it, that's the area of part 1. And you can see the range map right here. Okay, so it's going to affect this area. And range, we can expand it. Okay, so you can create a really weird kind of suntan right there, or we can, make it a little bit more subtle right here. Okay, just something to be aware of. And then the material, you can adjust the color if we want. So let's just take this and let's copy our HTML code here. If we change this to like black, for example, it creates almost like a sort of a dirt effect. So you can use this hemoglobin to create, sort of patchy dirt, almost like you're a coal miner on the character's face there. But again, I'm just going to return it back to the value it had before, just so we get the more natural looking, again, rosacea type appearance. And we don't want it to be too extreme, very slight, maybe 75 or something. Okay, and content, we'll go back to content. In coloration, under realistic human skin pack, there's one called dull skin eye, which I really like to add to our characters because this creates a very nice effect around the kind of bagged part of the eyes. And this is really, this can be used really well in combination with large eye bags on your character's eyes there. You can see dull skin eye layer right here. You have a very strong effect. But again, temperance is key here, subtlety. So we want to make it maybe at a 45 right there. So you can see she's looking relatively older and more beat up, I guess, aged as we move along here. And in this section here, there's all sorts of scales and transforms. You don't want to adjust these ones in this particular case because they're very specific in a specific area. But things like scars, which we'll show a little bit later, you can adjust the transform position of those very nicely. Okay, and then there's base color, which will have a stronger or lighter effect as well. If you want to adjust the brightness, you can do so, or darkness. If you double, like if I take brightness down to there, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot what the original value was, I can just double click on brightness, and it'll take it back to 0 automatically. Okay. So dull skin eye, that's one I really like. And let's add one final one here, capillaries on the cheeks. So we had this originally. The capillaries just adds another layer. And you can see this one's very subtle on the cheeks here. If I zoom in on the cheeks, you'll see the capillary cheek right here. If I select it and I take the opacity all the way up, that's what you get. Okay, and again, the mask here, this is on the cheek section of our character's face. And you can adjust this mask, and I'll show you how to adjust this later on in tomorrow's webinar. But today we're kind of just dealing with the basics here. So again, we have this capillary effect. We wouldn't want it to be that strong, probably, maybe something like that. 50, I think, would be just fine. All right, it's always good to zoom out for an overview to kind of see how you've done it, because sometimes you can get lost when you're too close on the character's face. Okay, finally, after capillary, let's go to roughness. Okay, now roughness, very important. Like I showed you earlier with the normal mask, or the oil on the character's face, we have some roughness maps here. So oily forehead, we have oily full. I'm going to apply this oily full, and you'll see the huge difference on the character's face. Let me adjust this. You'll see especially up there in the forehead and along the eyes areas under the eye rather. increase the opacity, you'll see a very, very strong effect. It's also very noticeable when you rotate your camera. Okay, so again, you wouldn't want to have the opacity that high normally unless your character was sweating or super nervous or something like that. Or I think maybe a value of 40 in this particular case would suit us just fine. Even that's a little extreme too. But again, we can always lower that later on. Okay, after the roughness, the last thing we're going to talk about is blemishes. So blemishes is, or not the last thing, we're almost done. So blemishes is the next section here below that. Blemishes, there's just, stuff like freckles, acne and suntan and stuff. So freckles, I can just throw in some freckles. Let's say, for example, let's use a realistic human skin content pack here. I like these age spot light ones here. There's a whole bunch of different freckle templates here. As you can see, there's face old freckle. I think this age spot light one is quite useful for this particular character at this age. Okay, and it is fairly extreme. It's not very light at all, but again, what you can do is you can take your freckles and adjust the opacity. Or you can also go down here and there's type random. You can make them uniform, which is not going to look good in this case. We'll change this back to random. Your projection method can be triplanar. This is basically, it's hard to explain triplanar, basically taking three random, it's applying it to three random layers or applying it 3 times to random spots on your character's face. So maybe something like this could be good because you can actually blend it in quite an interesting way. Right here, you'll see a very slight effect on the forehead there, more noticeable. Again, I think that looks fine to me. Again, we're not going to be too picky. Whoops. But there's these custom maps, and again, these custom maps you can adjust these based on only if you have the premium version of the SkinGen plugin. Yeah, too many plugins in my head. Okay, pattern amount. Again, you can adjust it to like 3. There's just different random variations of this. If we want more, for example, we go with 3. Just age spots and freckles and blemishes. You can scale them. You can change the colors of them. Again, I don't want to spend too much time in the details of this, but I just want to show you the basics because essentially everything is almost the same. They all have the same kind of parameters that you can adjust. If we go to acne, we can throw in like a very light facial acne as well. Now, keep in mind, because we're getting pretty high on layers there, the more layers that you add, again, there's the acne that we saw, the same template I used earlier. We can adjust that to a lower level. Acne, it's a curse that we can never get away from. Okay, and again, same parameters down there. I don't want to spend too much time on all these because we want to move on to makeup and then to lighting as well. Okay, so next we'll go into content. Let's twirl up the blemishes. Again, blemishes pretty self-explanatory. Any blemish you can see on your face, you'll find in that section. Aside from blemishes, we have over here, if you go to acquired, we have stuff like these scars. So if we want to add a scar on there, for example, let's just use a scar template that's included with Cartoon Animator, or sorry, Character Creator here. If I double click on this scar healed, again, this is embedded with Character Creator 3. You'll see a very wicked scar on our character's head. And I'm going to show you how to adjust this. So scars are things like decals and scars and anything in that acquired section. It's very useful to know how to transform the position of it. So you can see the scar right here. Okay, we have this spread pattern type. If we change that to default, it's going to get rid of that spread pattern that we had enabled there. So I'm going to go back to custom. You can adjust the spread pattern and the pattern. Now the scale is very important here. We increase that or take that up like that. You'll see the effect that it has right there. All right, and in this case, actually, I'm just going to I only want the single scar here. So I'm going to go to change this to a default here, and we'll only see that single scar. And if we scale this scar by itself, you'll see has less of an effect. No, let's go back to the custom, because we want to be able to see this a bit better. Okay, so let's change the offset. Right here, you can see we can take it down like this. Again, the scale, I want to make it smaller. And basically all I'm doing is I'm just moving these scars around on my character's head there. I want this scar to be above the eyebrow there. And you can rotate it. Again, it goes with both of them. The strength not going to have much of an effect. What I do want to talk a little bit about is the blur. You can see we can blur it out like that. Okay, so make it, but we don't want it to be too strong. So just have a kind of a result like that. And the expansion just kind of makes it smaller, or kind of adds those little cracks onto it there as well. Now here there's an important section for the normal map. We can take the normal strength down. It's not really going to have an effect in this case. What I need to go down here and do is we have this transform under the scab. We have like bevel expansion and bevel soften. Not going to have too much of an effect in this case. Because I think the swollen tissue section here, if we expand this, this is just going to be a little bit of an area there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different scar actually here, because this one is, yeah, this one is using all the default stuff. I'm going to remove this scar, delete this one. We need a better example than this one here. The scar is not, we'll go to use a realistic human skin pack scar here. Let's just apply this healed pop-up one, for example. Okay, so that one kind of shows up on the top there. What we could have done as well is we could have just replaced the map a little bit earlier. So you can see this one is a different pattern. And again, this one's just kind of easy, more manageable. You can kind of adjust the offset a bit more, a bit easier. And it has a little bit of a different effect as well. I want to scale this one smaller. So very, very small type of scar there. I put over her eye, something like that. And this one here has a bit of a, if we zoom in a little bit closer, you can see the expansion right there. We can blur it, make it sharper or blur it a bit more. And then down here, we have the normal strength. So you can see the normal strength has more of an effect on this one here. And there's bevel soften, which is the edge, bevel expansion. So you can see there's just various values you can mess around with. And I don't want to spend too much time on that because scars are kind of just boring, unless it's a scar with character. But what you can do is, if I wanted to change the pattern of this scar, what I can do is I can right-click on it, and I can go find image file. So what this does is this actually loads up the folder in SkinGen that contains all of the scar images that you already have. So you can see there's some pretty badass looking ones here. There's this one here, for example. If we change to like this one right here, whoops, you can see it just looks like a paint splotch right here. But if we applied that to the texture map, look what'll happen. Let's just click and drag it onto that texture map there. It'll create sort of a weird looking scar like this. Now, you may not want to have that in this case because there's a lot of other things you can choose. But I can just change it to like this scar pattern, for example. What that does is that creates this little one right here, and then again we can scale that larger and adjust the width and make it taller, like that as well. Okay, all the various stuff you can do. I don't want to spend too much time on the scar because we're running out of time on other stuff here. So that's the scars. Okay, that's acquired as well. So under blemishes, under scars, we have under acquired, we have the scars. We also have tattoos, which we'll talk about a little bit later. If we go up here to skin details, we have skin decal. This is one thing that I want to show you before we move on to other things here. The skin decal section, if we go into face, and we go into the realistic human skin pack, I'm just going to show you this because there's better options in here. There's skin decals that we can add. So A skin decal, for example, if we go into the face, we can see there's kind of just additional things we could add on to our character, like these lips decals, navel decals. And these are just kind of additions you can throw on top of your character. Now, if we go into skin base here, or not skin base rather, the skin decal here, and we go into the face section specifically, there's skin decals for the face. I'm going to try and find a female one here. And I often get a lot of questions. How do you change the skin color of your character in a more natural way? I'm going to show you what these skin decals do. These are just basically almost like texture maps or like materials that go over top of everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this skin decal female 1 here. Okay, and take a look what happens to our character's face if we select add on this. Basically, almost everything changes, and a lot of the wrinkles that we had earlier don't show up. You see the face decal thing right here. We can change the opacity to 0, and then we have back what we had before. If we change it to 100, this is going to be the full force skin decal here. Now, notice that because this face decal is at the very top layer, it's going to have a stronger effect. If we click and drag it down to maybe down here, you'll notice that it kind of blends in a little bit nicer with the other effects. And let's take it down further, even below all the wrinkles and the pores and everything like that. So we have a ton of layers that we've added on. If I take it down to below everything else, you'll see it still does have that color change. Okay, but it's a little bit more subtle, and you can still see all the other stuff over top of it. So what this face decal thing really does is it kind of replaces the base color map. And you can take that and you can adjust that base color map. You can adjust the levels down here, like the hue. Okay, we can make her have like green skin, for example. Again, you'd want to be very, very careful with the hue slider because it's very strong. You can adjust the brightness, make the skin a little bit lighter, make the skin a little bit darker. And again, the levels of saturation, and it's a fine balance here, to get the skin color that you want. The eyebrows, don't worry too much about that. Those can be replaced in makeup. But that's really what the skin base is useful for. Just kind of adding a little bit more character onto your character's face. Okay, so beyond that, we just have makeup, and then we'll go into morphs really quick, and then we'll do some lighting quick in iClone. So content, again, makeup. I don't want to spend too much time in makeup because it's fairly straightforward, and we'll cover a lot of makeup stuff in tomorrow's webinar. But makeup, we can throw some stuff on her, for example. The main thing is the eyebrow. If there's a whole bunch of eyebrows here, and again, there's eyebrows that are in that human anatomy pack. And I'm going to just go ahead and use these because I want to have replace her eyebrow with this female old eyebrow. Okay, just go ahead and add that. And there's stuff like foundation and eyeliner and eyelashes and stuff. Again, if you want a makeup lesson, I'd be more than happy to at least give you a digital one. I'm not really sure about doing it in real life, but yeah, we'll just throw on these eyebrows right here. So again, you can see this adds a little bit more additional level of age onto our character. So she has a little bit of gray in her eyebrows there. And there's our original eyebrows. So you can make sure those original eyebrows are gone. Okay, just delete those. There's various parameters that we can adjust in here. Again, I want to spend some time on the morphs. So I'm just going to throw in some quick makeup. I think you kind of get the process, the workflow anyways. If we use something like foundation makeup, say for example, she wants to look a little bit better, this eye bag concealer is going to be very important for this particular character. Again, what this does is it just kind of adds a little bit of a concealer onto the bottom there. And if we increase that level of opacity, you don't want too much, obviously. But again, you can just double click on any of the layers as well and change it to whatever you want the name, like eye concealer. Okay. And then there's other stuff like foundation. We can do the full head foundation. And again, this is just going to add a level of kind of a white foundation onto the face there. Generally, if you're going to use foundation, I'd recommend not adding so much facial detail in the first place, so you don't have to use as much foundation. If you had the choice between having crazy wrinkles and not, then you know. Anyways, so there's the foundation. Now there's a blend mode here that's very important as well. I wanted to mention this before we go anywhere else. Blend mode at the top. Right now it's set at soft light. If we change this to normal, what it'll do is it's basically just like pasting foundation over top of your character's face there. And you know, if we took that eyebrow and we just took the eyebrow above the foundation, you'll see it'll pop up above the foundation there, which is normally what you want. Okay. So generally you want your eyebrows at the top, but again, we wouldn't want to have this at normal. We wouldn't want to have it at multiply because that just creates a weird effect. Overlay, you know, nope. Soft light is generally what you'd want to use your foundation. And these, you know, correspond with those blend modes in Photoshop, if you're familiar with those. Okay, so then there's content. There's other stuff like eyelashes, eye makeup, so on and so forth. But I'm just going to kind of keep it like that. We're just going to give her some just natural kind of natural look. And what I want to talk about next for the next 5 minutes here is morphs. So beyond SkinGen, you know, you can make your character look really aged and nice like this, but beyond SkinGen, there's also morphs as well. So if you go to your Modify tab and you go up here to the morph section, there's a whole schlack load of morphs here that you can apply to your character. If we minimize it, you can see how many there are. We're only going to worry about these actor ones here for now. I'm going to go to head, and you can type in things like age, for example. Maybe an actor. I think, yeah, it should be in head. Should be able to find some age ones in full head. Is it skull? Oh no, it's old. Sorry, old. Okay, so under full head, there's face old. This is an easy one. This contains just like a preset. If I take this and increase the value, you'll see it'll kind of, if we take the values, the slider to negative 100, it looks weird. Almost she's like a baby cartoon, kind of creepy. Looks pretty creepy actually, but if I took this age slider to like, you know, something like a value of maybe 49 or 30 or something like that, you know, kind of just sags the face in general. You wouldn't want to have it too strong. In this case, this female, this is a cartoon female template. So you can really just modify the face quite significantly by using these sliders. Again, if we have a side by side of what you looked like before, you know, it's quite a significant difference. Now, there's other stuff that I'd recommend, you know, like the cheek, for example. In the cheek, there's stuff like, let's see, what do we have? Cheek crease, I believe. We can just type in like crease, because there's so many sliders to go through, right? Crease inner cheek, for example, like this one. It's a fairly small effect. Let's try something in the headshot. Also has a whole bunch of morphs as well. If we go into the cheek section of headshot, yeah, there's some creases right here. Okay, you can see the effect that has. That's one side, the other side. Let's try something like eye. In the eye section, there is a downturn. So if we type in just down, oops, downturned eye. Let's zoom in on the eyes here to see the effect of this. So you can see the kind of just droops on the outside there. There's downturned eye A. Okay, you can maybe have, you know, slight values like this. You don't want them to be too strong. And then there's different eye values like thin, I believe. Yeah, eye thin. So you can make it appear like the eyes are kind of a little bit older and thinner. And again, you don't want to go too extreme with this. Maybe I've gone too far already. I've gone too far, but there's all sorts of fun stuff. What I try to do is I try to like just type in values like puffy, and you can do like the eyelid puffy lower. Okay, so you can see we can create those puffy bags under the eyes right there, and eye puffy over. Okay, so generally, you know, as you get older, those eyes are gonna have that effect. And let's see, maybe there's, you just type in ibag, crease define. There's probably more in the, where are we right now? Oh, we're in the headshot. Yeah, ibag depth. Okay, right here. Various fun values you can mess around with. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but there's our, our character that we turned from a bright young character creator 3 base plus to an older character. But again, stuff like this just adds a lot of detail on your characters. It just makes them seem a lot less plastic and much more realistic when you actually have a lot of details on this. I know a lot of people in their productions, they try and go for the beautiful looking characters, but I'll tell you, like, characters like this just create a lot more interest, I think, in your project, just because their faces have more character. And yeah, when you actually see them in certain types of light, which we'll show in iClone right now, which I'm going to load up in the background, it'll look a lot better, particularly in hard light, like deep shadows and stuff like that. So while we're waiting for that, let's just throw on some hair to our character. Again, pretty easy to find the hair, just for content. And over here in the base section, you'll find the hair right here. Okay, in the hair section, you can find all sorts of stuff. I've downloaded a few other packs. In case you're not aware, this SWAM developer on the content store and Pixton, they both have some really interesting stuff. Let's say, for example, I'll just go ahead and use this. I don't want anything too modern since she's supposed to be old. This kind of looks like those old bobs they used to have. Okay, so when you apply, once you go into like the modify, the base stuff, it's going to deactivate your SkinGen plugin. Just be aware of that, okay? And then you'll have to load it up afterwards. So we'll just throw this on real quick while waiting for iClone to load in the background, and we'll probably have to give her a more age-appropriate dress. And while we're at it, we can probably, yeah, we'll just export it into iClone because I think we're running pretty short on time here. We've got a few minutes left. And I want to get to the questions. Oh man, I didn't, no, that's not, that hair's not going to work for me. It just looks way too energetic. So let's go to our scene manager here and just take that hair and delete it there. And we'll throw in something a bit more age appropriate. I think conforming hair has like a bob. That's there we go. Or even a bridal bun, but I think this bob is fairly suitable. She has a fairly large head that I kind of accidentally did with the morph slider earlier. So you may have to adjust that color a little bit by going over here to the modify tab over here, and then this base color, you can just select it and go here to the adjust color value and take that saturation down, and maybe take the brightness up a little bit, get a little bit more gray, contrast, increase that or decrease that possibly. Again, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this brightness. Let's make it a little bit grayer. There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna work with that for now. I think looks obviously you could spend a lot more time on that, but it looks pretty decent. I heard a noise in the background. Oh, sorry. Last time I loaded up iClone, it froze there. So what we'll do is we'll just throw our character really quick into iClone. First, the clothing. Let's just go for a full body dress just to save time here. Let's go for a sorceress outfit. We'll dress her up like a sorceress, whatever. Okay. Oh, just go ahead and keep cloth shape, doesn't really matter in this case. Okay, so what I'm going to do is once she's loaded up with the dress, we could make her look a lot more evil. She's kind of like a sorceress, but what you can do is you can just go ahead and throw your character into iClone by going up to here, send character to iClone, or you can go File, Export, and send character to iClone from here. Let's just go ahead and do that. Again, you can always export as an iAvatar as well. So I'll load up our character in iClone. And in the next 2 minutes, I'll just show you a little bit about lighting your character's face in iClone, just to make it look a little bit more consistent with the lighting effect that you have in Character Creator. Okay, so one thing you'll notice is if I zoom in on my character there, again, the skin seems a bit more oily, and that's just because of the lighting. Don't worry about that. What you can do is you can actually just go over to the media, and there is some various, in stage rather, and there's some various lighting effects in here. If you have the Lightroom content pack purchased, you can go into here and type stuff or just find stuff like this face 01. I'm just going to use this quickly for time's sake here and get an effect like this. Again, there's various other like morning light, for example. These are some really good effects that you can just throw in here. Cinematic, there's some dark ones in here like back spotlight. I like this one here. In this case, it's a little bit extreme, but you know, some fairly interesting ones. Sun and sky. Okay, something like this. And of course, this one looks a lot more natural than the other ones. We can do that at sunset, have a bit more of an effect. And what you can do as well is if you go to your motion tab here, or animation tab rather, let's just apply a quick pose motion to her so she's not looking so weird. Let's see, she's walking or something. Oops, you select the character first. There we go, and then we can adjust our facial expression by going over here to our animation tab and then using the face key. Let's use an expression like happy. Okay, or maybe she's sad, so we can go over here to sad. It's a sad morning. And you can adjust the level of expressiveness as well. All right. Yeah, that's about it. So I think we're going to go to the Q&A session now, because I don't want to kind of just keep on throwing stuff at you without really kind of knowing what you want to learn. So let's just go ahead and go to the Q&A session. This is kind of cool. And I'll answer those questions for you guys right now here. Ooh, we got a lot. Okay. First question is from Luis. Can I combine that plugin with Headshot? Yeah, absolutely. So what you can do is you can start off with Headshot in Character Creator, and you can create your head and then do all the same things that I did. And that's what people are doing these days. I mean, everyone's kind of just doing that sort of same thing, getting headshots set up and then moving on to SkinGen from there. I believe we have a content pack or a bundle pack that includes both Headshot and the SkinGen Premium plugin, which I think is really worth it. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust the shadows here on this. This is kind of bothering me. Let's take our shadows and take our bias to 1. Oops. By the way, if you want to see the lights in your scene, we just have this sky. All the visual stuff, all the lights in this scene is done with a go to atmosphere, and we go down here to activate IBL. Everything in this scene is done with IBL, so that's why there's really no shadows. If we take that strength down to a lower value, and then we'll go to create and create light. Directional light. This will give us more shadows on the face and it'll look a lot more realistic. Now with your first directional light, you can press the / key and adjust the angle here. Let's try to just simulate the light of a sunset. Let's take this a bit further down. Let's go over here with our light selected. And I just want to take this to a nice kind of more orangish. There we go. Something like that maybe. All right, and then we can add more shadows on our Darkness. All right, that looks more like a sunset to me. Okay, that's just bothering me there. I can go through that process again if you guys want. Next question is from Cesar. Why does lighting on CC3 look way better than iClone? I'm thinking about buying iClone, but lighting previews make me think about it twice. So yeah, I mean, you can achieve the same lighting in iClone as well. Again, this one, I just did this in like 3 seconds, but again, I can adjust the angle of it. What I can do is go to visual here as well, and add ambient occlusion. So ambient occlusion adds another kind of additional layer of depth onto the character's skin there. This one, there's always HDR effect, which in this case is gonna have a little too crazy for me. I personally tend to like to keep my IBL strength a little bit lower. You know, I think if you look at this image right here, the IBL image right here, if I'm trying to recreate this sort of light coming from that direction, and again, you can adjust the angle of your IBL as well. If we go to right here down to bottom, rotate IBL, you can also use the Shift I hotkey. There you go. Now you can see the reflections on the eyes a bit better, because before, this is where the sun is. The sun is kind of behind her. And say I want the sun to be at maybe like a 45-degree angle from in front of her. So I would throw that IBL in there. And then you can, of course, increase that strength there. But again, I like to use a bit more of directional light myself. Spotlights work even better if you're able to have spotlights. Yeah, I'm just gonna make this light invisible here. There we go. So you get out of the way there. And again, so now you can see the skin is definitely not as oily. Okay, but again, you can achieve the same lighting effects. There's also global illumination. If you go over here to global illumination and enable that, there's not really much in our scene for global illumination to bounce off of, but you increase bounce strengths here, and it can be like bouncing off the ground, for example. So it's a bit more of a natural kind of light. I can increase shadow details. Not much of an effect in this case again, but there's all sorts of various things you can do to adjust the lighting in your scene. Let's go on to the next question here, so I'm not just kind of fooling around with lighting. So Roy asks, what female base mesh is this? So the mesh that I used is just the base mesh that's included if you go to like start a new project. It's just going to be the female base mesh. Again, if I wanted to change this from a female to a male character, it's a simple process really. Just go over to modify and go to your morphs. And under actor, I think you can just type in male. And you can see right now we have the CC3 plus neutral female, the value is at 100. If we take that down to 0, it should be, let's type in female here, because it should be up there somewhere. Yeah, so we have the female head old. There's got to be a slider here that's female. Yeah, so the CC3 plus natural female, we'll take that down. And that just makes her like androgynous basically. So she'll just get rid of all the female parts, I guess, essentially. Just make sure everything female is done. And then you can go to male. And we can have a, male in a dress. CC3 plus neutral male, okay. Well, that's for the head. Make sure you're not selecting the head there. Go down to, you can go to body here, that'd be easier. CC3 plus neutral male. All right, so now she looks a little bit weird. She has like a large chest like a male character. And again, you can double click on those parameters to take them back down to 0 as well. All right, let's go on to the next question here. Also from Roy. What Windows setup are you using? My headshot and content tabs are on the left of my screen and the modify is on the right side. Yeah, I've messed around. I don't really have a consistent layout that I use. If you want, you can go up to Window and Workspace And here's the basic ones. You can press, Control-2, Control-3, Control-4 to kind of just change to different layouts. For example, if I press Control-2, there you go. This is the one layout. Control-3, different layout. Control-4. Again, but I kind of just messed everything up. I don't. I've messed everything up here. I like to have content on the right side, anyways. Headshot. I like to just basically keep everything on the right side, to be honest. Visual, I don't bother with because most of that's done in iClone. Take the modify over there. Render, I don't bother with. Scene manager always has to be there. So, I just kind of keep everything on the right side, personally, just so it gives me a bit more space to look at my character. All right. Let's go to the next one. Cesar asks, can you use all the SkinGen premium effects with a headshot face character? Yep, absolutely. So all the SkinGen premium effects can be used on any headshot character. Because headshot will generate a CC3 base plus character, and that's super compatible, 100% compatible with a SkinGen plugin. Okay, so I guess Roy figured that out a bit later on. Just drag and drop. Yeah, you can just drag and drop your windows and get them wherever you want. Okay, so Evangelos asks, would the result be different if you changed or reversed the order from secondary, tertiary, wrinkles, etc.? Not necessarily, because what you can do is you can click and drag all those layers back and forth. If I go to the, where are we here? The appearance editor. Let's activate that editor one more time here. You saw near close to the end when I click and drag that one base layer. That's a very extreme example, but generally, I think if you have like a pour effect, especially with the blemish or the foundation that I put over top of it, it's going to be different if the foundation is over top, obviously. But generally, I like to start the way that I started because I like to have the pores first. And it's not really going to have much of an effect, to be honest. The pores specifically, which layer you put them in, very, very small effect, if any, to be honest. And I don't even really need to demonstrate that because it's not even going to be like have much of an effect anyways. But I'll do a quick one just to kind of see. The face acne, for example, whereas you can't even see it anymore. There's one right there, one below that. Let's make them more apparent so you can see them. If we took that further down, below all the wrinkles and stuff, again, not even an effect, because there's really nothing obscuring it from anything else. So if we take that down to even the bottom layer, again, not like no effect at all, because I think the only effect it would have is if we took it below the face decal. Yeah, so now you can barely see it, and even though it's at 100% opacity, because our face decal layer is so high, so if we took that down, you start to see it appear under the face decal layer. So face decal layers are very strong. Just be aware of that. The acne, you can throw that anywhere. It's not going to have any effect on the order that you apply it in. All right, next question from Miguel. My hand tracking module arrived a few days ago. Can I use it with your body and hand capture motion, or what is it called? We don't support Pimax right now, unfortunately, Miguel, but we do support a number of different hand and body motion capture devices for iClone. If you just go to our Motion Live section, you can see Motion Live, iClone, whatever. I'm too lazy to go into the website and find it. You'll find all the gear profiles right here under gear. You'll see all the stuff that we support. Okay. There's also going to be Vicon on that list fairly soon. All right, just be aware of that. I'll throw that in the chat window for you guys if you want. Motion Live is essentially our second most popular thing beyond Character Creator. That's a follow-up question from Miguel. To use a headshot plugin, do I have to mask the face, or is it okay if the picture has a background? So when you use the headshot plugin, it'll automatically mask out the background. It should anyways. But yeah, what I recommend doing is just to because it's it's artificial intelligence driven, so it should mask out the background anyways. But generally, for the best results, obviously try to have a shot of your head that's like a passport photo, where there's not much in the background there. All right, so just be aware of that. But you can use like stuff with the background as well, because it's AI. It kind of can detect a human face. Scarily enough, we're pretty good at detecting human faces these days. Next question from Cesar again. Can you do face tattoos with SkinGen? Can you show us an example of a custom tattoo? Yeah, we'll definitely do custom tattoos tomorrow. If I wanted this lady to have a custom tattoo on her face, for example, what do I do to go to content here? Let's just throw in, let's go to makeup, because makeup, the tattoo stuff is mostly in makeup here. Is it miscellaneous? Makeup and SFX. We'll see like tribal paint. So there's scars here as well. There's camouflage. Yeah, because tattoos are actually considered like, below the makeup. If you put makeup, because it's a permanent addition to your skin, basically. So you would find it in the skin section. And just be aware that it is acquired, obviously. So there's tattoos right here. The head side tattoo. Let's just apply that to her. Let's see what happens. Let's give her a badass Michael Jackson tattoo. So here's an important thing that came up. Effects layers in any material in excess of 15 can significantly slow the system performance for low spec computers. Okay, so what you can do is you can always bake your layers as well. If you're totally happy with the way that your layers are set up, you can bake them to save resources. I think it applied to the other side of her head there. It's covered up by the, let's see if we can't move it to this side. Where is our transform? All right, offset. There we go. There's our tattoo. Let's scale it down. Bring it a bit higher. I'm not sure if there's a flip. I think there's a flip feature somewhere. Possibly not. I may have just lied to you. What you can do is you can just load this up in Photoshop and flip it. I guess it's not available, but that's, I can right click this and go to find image file. And I think this will load up the tattoo folder. Okay, so we can throw this in. Let's give her a skull. Okay, so maybe she was a sailor or something in a previous life. And then again, just offset. We can give her one of those like jail tattoos where she's like those tears or whatever. And scale it down. All right, that's the face tattoo. And again, it's up to you to create your own custom tattoo. That's just the one I'm going to give her. Okay, let's go to the next question. John Robertson asks, what is a spread pattern? Spread pattern can only be used for certain things. Generally for stuff like, let's see what's good for a spread pattern. I'm just going to remove this tattoo for now. Spread pattern is something like capillaries, I think, can work well with spread patterns. If I go down here, so you can see with the capillary, we have two different patterns, pattern 1 and pattern 2. They're very similar. They're just like lightning bolts, actually. The type, if we change this, let's make the opacity really high so we can see it a bit better. Okay, there's the triplanar mode here. Spread pattern, we're just going to keep this at UV. Down here, where's spread? There's so many parameters to go through. I think I'm thinking about expansion maybe. Expansion kind of just you know, it kind of strengthens stuff a little bit like this. In a lot of cases, it'll strengthen it. So we have type at duo color. Let's leave that duo color there. You can blend the colors from one to the next. I think spread, I'm not sure what you're mentioning. I can't remember if there's a spread parameter or not, but generally spread is like what I use for expansion. So you can expand stuff. And of course, you're always limited to the mask as well. So it's limited to this area right here. If you don't have a mask, then I think the spread or the expansion will just expand all over the entire face. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. Your mask has a huge effect on it. Now let's just keep that more reasonable. There we go. Man, she looks tired. Okay. I'll try and maybe you can clarify a little bit more, John, on that if I didn't answer that question. Next question is from Miguel. Can I mix ZBrush and CC3? Yeah, absolutely. We have the Go Z. You can launch your object and go in a ZBrush with the Go Z feature right here. This is available with pipeline version. Okay, so Go Z right there. It'll launch it in ZBrush. Right there, you can export an OBJ, export FBX, and import it back in. Just make sure you don't modify the mesh or modify the poly count, because that can mess things up a little bit. Okay. So Miguel says, thanks to CC3, Mixamo became useless. No, I think Mixamo is still pretty useful. I use the motions from Mixamo quite often still. You know, if you have a Adobe account, you can download all those Mixamo motions for free, in case you're not aware. Let's move to the next question here from Mark. When transferring over to iClone, do we have to flatten all of these SkinGen layers into one layer? Yeah, we do. So when you're in iClone, if you look at the characters materials, let's go over here. So it's baked everything in. When you export it to iAvatar format, it bakes everything in. So just be aware of that. Highly recommended to save your CC3 project file before you export into iClone, okay, or before you quit CC3, because it will bake all the textures into these different materials here. So for example, the skin on the head, you'll see it'll bake everything into this map right here. So we have our own custom base color. You can see the gray, you can see the rosacea kind of, you can see the gray eyebrows. The bump map is going to be very interesting in this one here. A lot of wrinkles on that bump map. Okay, so much more noticeable. And then there's other stuff you can do down here, like shader settings that are available with your character. Let's change this scene here just to give you a better look at something like it's kind of cool. You can see the neon eye reflections in the eyes there. These templates are made specifically for creating cool looking eye reflections, and you can add on to stuff and modify them. I want to find one that's like yeah, cave wall might be kind of darker. And cool there. Let's take that IBL value down though. One cool effect that I like to always have on my scene. What that does, by the way, is that removed the lights in my scene previously. So now we have a spotlight in the scene. And if we take that darkness value up, let's just press F and focus on where that spotlight is, make it visible. Because what I like to do is to show people kind of how your light can affect the character. Let's just align this spotlight to our characters. And let's change our values. Rotation. If I have the spotlight directly above my character's head, what you can do is you can increase or decrease the darkness. The multiplier value can be increased significantly. If we have subsurface scattering, it's not going to have that much of an effect. I think her hair is kind of in the way. A little bit forward. Or something like that. So you can get really strong looking shadows on your character's face like this. I tend to like, high contrast values like this myself a little bit more, just because it looks kind of nicer on the face. If I decrease that IBL strength even more, you get a even creepier look like this. We'll talk about this lighting sort of stuff a little bit later on. Okay, sorry, I'm getting off track here. Yeah, so mark it takes all the layers out of the equation there. Let's continue on. Question from Luis. How can I refine a face already made with headshot? Because I made one with low resolution. So, of course, with headshot, it's recommended that you have images as high resolution as possible. I recommend at least 2048, at least 1024, but 2048 is recommended for headshot, just so you have more detailed texture on your face. Yeah, if you have a low resolution image, you're kind of SOL a little bit, to be honest, because you can't create resolution from a low resolution image. I mean, unless you use some sort of artificial intelligence algorithm like a photo restoration or something like that. But yeah. Another question from Luis: how to fix male characters? I think I kind of demonstrated a little bit about changing to male characters earlier, so I won't go into that again. So question from Miguel, is iRay only for objects in landscape, or is it also for CC3 skin and body? So iRay is the plugin that's used for kind of photorealistic rendering. I personally find, iRay has a very good sun and sky render. I do have the iRay plugin, I believe. I haven't loaded it up in ages though. I want to show you an example here. It's just let's throw this on the side here. So iRay has a if we go up here, let's not load that in. Let's just go to here, lighting, and let's use a sun and sky. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and load a preview of this right now. I think that's, let's go ahead and work with that. Yeah, I think those values should do the trick. And let's preview the scene here. iRay is really good for like photorealistic rendering. Generally for stuff that's like subsurface scattering is very good at. Although we also have subsurface scattering now on our character. You can see a little bit of subsurface scattering on the ears there. That's why my plugin's not loading up there. Let's move this down. We should be able to, I think it's still loading up. Maybe I don't have it installed right now. We should be able to preview. Anyways, maybe I'm not going to be able to have everything set. I literally haven't opened this in probably close to a year. I should be able to preview it, no problem. I'm not sure what's occurring there. Oops. All right, let's just go on to something else then, since iRay doesn't seem to be cooperating with us. Okay, so John Robertson asks, how does headshot fit in with the SkinGen layer system? Is the face projection below all the SkinGen layers? Yes, it is. The SkinGen, the face projection is below all the SkinGen layers. So yeah, if the original face seems to get lost easily, then just reduce the opacity or reduce the amount of layers you're using there. This should be a easy enough thing to do. Question from Freddie. I've had situations where I add eyebrows and makeup. The skin around it doesn't match the face. Is there a way to match head skin tone, or would I have to play with it, the levels, and eye it? So yeah, that can occur especially if you do that face, the base layer that I showed you earlier, right in that base right here, or the face decal rather. If you take this and you put it like way out on the top there, it can mess around with the eyebrows. We don't have any eyebrows on the skin layer, but all you have to do is make sure that your eyebrows are done in the makeup section, and the eyebrows are not in the skin section. Just get rid of the skin eyebrows in general, to be honest, because they'll get overwhelmed by other things. And when the skin base changes, there's going to be that one little area around it that changes as well. Whereas all the eyebrows in the makeup section are kind of created to have results like this, where you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I've come across that situation before too, but the solution is just to add the eyebrows in the makeup section instead. Okay, hopefully that answers your question there, Freddie. So the best way to change the skin tone for the whole avatar, the easiest way is we have presets available. Again, if you go to your content manager and like full skin, for example, or rather, let's go to the skin base. So say, for example, I wanted like let's see here. Let's just go for a black female character here. If we apply this, what's going to happen is, let's go back to our modify tab here. Notice in the skin section, we'll have a whole bunch of layers right here. If I go to content and I replace that with the skin base, the female African skin base, it's basically going to get rid of a lot of the stuff that we had. So you can select here to replace full body, nails, eyelashes. Just go ahead and apply. And what you'll see is a brand new woman in just a moment. So this is generally something that you want to start with. Obviously, you don't want to go into all that effort to, add rosacea and scars and everything to your character's face, and then replace it all with the female African template right here. Because that's the easiest way to kind of just change the skin color, is just by using that. And generally, I would recommend starting off with that as opposed to everything else. So again, that just kind of gives you the basic skin base. And you see in the skin base texture settings, now the base color map is darker. Okay, so what it does is it just replaces that skin base, that section there. And of course, you can take that base color map and, like I did earlier, adjust the brightness to make it a little bit darker, like darker black or something. And then again, always be aware the eyebrows are on a different layer, and those scars and everything like that are obviously intended for lighter skinned characters, so you'll have to deal with that as well. But that's really the easiest way to just replace the entire skin color, is by going to content, into skin base. So skin base, there's a couple here. Yeah, these are just the default ones, but the realistic human skin has like Asian and athletic, like tanned, female heavy, and all sorts of stuff. And all that does is just replace the base. Okay, so that base is the base layer there. Hope that answers that question for you. Let's go on to the next question from Mark. Is there a Swam hair package that contains all the hairstyles? I believe there's a couple of different bundles. I'm not sure if any of them contain all the hairstyles, but there definitely is a couple of different bundles. You can check those out. Let's go to the next question here from Eric. These questions are moving around a little bit. Cesar asks, Kaya, do you do freelance work? I need help creating myself on CC3. I'm personally a little bit busy at the moment, but I definitely have, if you guys need help from a freelance artist or freelance studio, you can always email me, and I'd be more than happy to refer you to anyone. I have a number of different people that I work with that are very, very skilled, very talented artists. And if they have time on their schedule, I can recommend them to you as well. My email is kai@revolution.com, by the way. It's KAI. Question from Eric: when can we expect a more seamless, complete transfer of CC lighting and poses to iClone? Yeah, so there's a little bit of a difference, obviously, between the presets. But what you can do is you can save your lighting out in Character Creator 3, I believe. If we go over here to modify rather, content, and go to custom, I believe you can go over here to the stage elements, and in atmosphere, you can save your atmosphere, which is like basically, it'll be atmosphere. If I press plus here, for example, we'll just call this, this actually looks kind of good. See, I had tested that before. But you can apply these, you should be able to apply these atmospheres into iClone. I believe I've done it before, and I'll try and do it again. So the atmosphere includes everything like the IBL, the lighting, and all that stuff put together. I hope this doesn't like crash my computer. While we're waiting for that. But yeah, you should be able to save it in the atmosphere there, and then apply it to iClone. Okay, let's call this cool. Whoops. I'll just call atmosphere. Let's try and take this into iClone. Let's find it in the Explorer. Zoop. Yeah, we should be able to apply it. There you go. So that'll apply the same atmosphere into iClone there. So it's going to be essentially the same lighting. And I think it looks, just as good. Again, they'll be tweaking. The background is obviously different. You have this kind of whatever background. Our character is darker, but that's the same atmosphere that you have, and you can go ahead and tweak it. You can see the IBL here is 3 spotlights, and these spotlights kind of correspond to the 3-point lighting that's very prominent for use in taking portraits of people. So that's why the skin looks, or the character's face looks a little bit nicer. Yeah, okay. Next question. Next question from Tanji. Just so you know, female can wear anything at any age. I totally agree. No worries. Can any scar type image be imported? Yeah, absolutely. What I showed you earlier with the scar type import, you can do any sort of style, pattern, or whatever. If you want to create a dead character, it's complicated. Well, our character tomorrow will look a little bit more like a dead character, so you can attend tomorrow's webinar and we'll find out more about that. It's kind of an evil character. That's it. Next question from Luis. Next time I tried to modify a bear with realistic skin. I'm not sure if you're talking about a real bear, but that may be a little bit tricky. Doing stuff like a bear is a whole other can of worms that I don't have time to get into right now, Luis. But maybe you can always email me later with your project, and I can help you with that. Okay, let's go on to the next one here from Thomas. When creating from headshots, sometimes I get a model where some dark hair remains on the skin of the head. When applying skin preset, it doesn't remove those. Why? So that's a very good question, Thomas. A lot of characters will have a sculpt, what's called a sculpt, and I'll show you this in iClone. If we take our character and we twirl it down, you can see there's a hair mesh right here. If we make the hair mesh invisible, our character is going to have this type of hair right here. And you can see this particular character doesn't have a scalp mesh, but if I go to materials with my character selected, and I go to materials, there is a skin head and a skin body. There was also this scalp here as well. Okay, so this scalp is part of the character's hair. If I take this scalp and it's not going to have an effect in this case because I believe. Let's try and switch this to a different shader. Yeah, the scalp is basically a different material, and you can just take the scalp and I'm not sure why this one's not showing up. There must be something else I'm missing here. Opacity, or maybe it's just not because I do see a base color right here, and the opacity is right there. So technically, it should be showing up as a scalp, but I think maybe the hair baked over top of it. Yeah, but if you want to get rid of it, just go in here and change your strength to 0. It's not showing up anyways, so I'm not, maybe because the hair mesh. Oh, gosh. Yeah, there you go. So you have to, it's actually part of the hair mesh. So you have to take the opacity of the hair mesh down to 0. And this is what you would see. So again, if I went up to, there you go, Eli and Bob's scalp there, you want to get rid of it. Or take the opacity to 0. There you go. And that would get rid of the scalp. Okay, you could do the same thing in Character Creator. Let's bring her hair back here. She looks weird when she's bald. And you can, of course, have this without the scalp, but it's just there in case the hair parts and you can see some hair underneath. All right, next question. From Matthias. Regarding exporting created characters, the higher the amount of layers, the higher the performance cost on third-party software. Well, the higher the performance cost on your video card, really. So that when you have higher number of layers, it's going to have a higher cost. And I want to show you a little bit earlier about how to bake the layers. Again, if you're totally happy with the layers that you have, you can always go here to flatten. Okay, and you can go ahead and flatten. Flatten is going to bake them down. Okay, if you want to make them static, make static is also a good option. Make static allows you to, I mean, you won't be able to edit them, but they won't be baked. And you'll still save a little bit of resources. So say, for example, I went to this oily, for example, I selected oily, and I go here to make static, selected layer. Just keep at 2048, 2048, that's fine. What's going to happen is it's going to go here to this little alternative area here, and now you can say that nothing we can't edit anything, and it goes to a very, very basic layout. So there's nothing we can edit. If we want to go back, so this will save resources by doing this. If you want to flatten any of the layers that you're not using, again, you can select those and flatten them. You can also right-click, I believe, and flatten. So you can just make static. You can make it dynamic. Selected layer again. And when you make it dynamic, it'll go back to the regular method. If you flatten it, it'll bake for good. So don't flatten unless you're totally happy with what you have. Okay. Mike asks, how do you get rid of really blotchy light and dark areas in an AI-generated face? I mean, the easiest way to do that is with Photoshop. So you can launch your base color map in Photoshop. So if I went to my skin base here, and I go down to base color, I can just right-click it and launch texture, and I can launch it in Photoshop. I'd have to load up Photoshop first, though. Quick question from Jeremy while waiting for this to load up. Can we save our own layouts to reload later? Yeah, you can. You can save your layouts. Workspace, you can go workspace and save layout, reset layout here as well. Okay. Okay, let's just launch that quick and right click, whoops. Launch texture. Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and press OK, it doesn't matter. Oh, okay, weird. I guess it needs to update since oh, we need to go to program files. Oh, dang it. And where's Photoshop? There we go. I just have to, I reinstalled it. So what this will do is that'll launch your UV map. Okay, so UV reference map, again, very useful to have. But here's your texture map. And say you're like, oh, I think this I don't know, there's not really much wrong with your face. And say this area here is too blotchy. You know, what I would do is maybe something like use the old clone stamp tool maybe, and hold the Alt key and get an area of reference there, and let's get rid of those blotches. Maybe give her a little bit less darkness around the eyes. Again, I'm terrible with Photoshop, so you don't want to follow what I'm doing here. What this will do is this will kind of, it's really going to make our little file and save. And it should automatically update in CC3, that base color map, when they have to load it in custom. Anyways, that's the way you do it. Yeah, should save, or just load texture. File, save texture and load it, I guess. You have to do it manually. Just because, yeah, I guess we're in the SkinGen editor, so it's not going to allow us to live update. We have to replace it manually, so we just like load texture. And whatever. Haven't actually gone through this process in a while. These are all the masks, by the way. You can use various masks. Not sure why it's not having much of an effect. I mean, you can't. I mean, there's some stuff. There's probably so much stuff over top. I think it probably just did save, but you just can't see the effect. Let's just mouse over it. Yeah, you can see I kind of cleared it up, the little area on the left eye there. But it's just there's so much stuff over top of it, you can't really notice it. So you can just save it out that way, the way that I showed before. Okay, why can't iClone open a CC file directly and bring everything in as CC? That's from Eric. Just because you have to save it as an iAvatar. iAvatar is the only format that iClone understands. Simple answer there. So Roy asks, has the motion capture library gone live yet? I think you're talking about Actor Core. I don't believe yet. It's supposed to be this week though. So yeah, it's your next follow-up question, the 3D motion content from Actor Core. So Actor Core is going to be our new database of motions that you can apply to both 2D and 3D characters. Really cool. It's going to be like, you know, the old school Mixamo, where you can just go online and download files and test them out on your characters. That's supposed to be this week, I believe. So keep checking back. I've been doing some tutorials for that, so you'll hear my voice in the Actor Core tutorials there. Eamon asks, the final result is very strong on iRay. Is there a way other than iRay to render with each modification? I mean, you can tweak the lighting and then the digital human shader in iClone and Character Creator, but obviously iRay is going to, you know, spend a bit more time. You spend a bit more time in iRay getting the nicest results. Yeah, because it's, you know, they're just made for different things, really. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not previewing. Oh, maybe I just didn't have it selected. I need to add our character. Yeah. Oh man, like such a dolt. Anyways, we should be able to render that in iRay. Nope. All right, I'll figure that out later. I should be able to preview up here really easily, but it's not happening. Okay, Kuchinin, Pavel Kuchinin. Why when I change the skin color of the character, the color of the palms does not change? So to change the palms, let's go down to your character. You have to go down to the body. So never really focused on the palms before. It's kind of a weird thing to focus on. Select your character, and in the basically just in the modify panel, you want to make sure you go to material and go to body. And in body, there's different texture maps as well. So you probably would want to replace those nails so because they look kind of stupid. But yeah, in the body, this is where you want to replace the body texture, body base right here. And there's stuff for the hands in there. Arm, legs, and nails. I think the hands are actually found in the arm material. Yeah, they are right here. So in the arm, that's where you'd find the hand stuff right here. And you see the base color map. The palm of the hand, just kind of darken that area, I guess, in Photoshop or whatever. That'd be my recommendation. I've never really messed around too much with the palms. So a question from Miguel. Yeah, you can use the mask AI to, you can mask anything basically in Character Creator. Oh, so Roy answered his own question. So I guess the Actor Core is live. I knew we uploaded tutorials yesterday, so I figured it should be live. Question from Miguel. Is it easy to use the spunky, spooky moves or whatever? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of moves you can apply to your character from the library, from Actor Core. I won't go into Actor Core right now, just because it's pretty new. But yeah, tons of motions from different areas. Okay, we're gonna go for like another 8 minutes here, guys. If I don't get to all the questions here, I apologize for that. Just because we're going about an hour over here. So yeah, any additional questions that I don't answer, you can always email me, kai@revolution.com there. Because we still have about 25 more questions here, and I don't think I'll get through all of them. Jose asks, is there an easy way of getting a complete scene made using CC3 and iClone into Unity, or is it in the plans? So right now, the best way to get a complete scene into Unity from iClone is to export the entire thing as an FBX, and you have to do that using 3D Exchange. Okay, so what you would do is you would kind of save everything in a hierarchy under a single prop, basically. So like your whole scene would be a single prop, but just like different hierarchy. Like if I went into iClone here, no, we already were in iClone. You know, your props, there's only one prop in the scene, but there's like 10 props, for example, different buildings. Just put them into a single hierarchy by attaching them to each other, and then export it into 3D Exchange, and then you would export it as a single FBX into Unity. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question there, Jose. I'm going to move quickly through the rest of them here. Okay, so I guess Nicole answered your question about answered your own question about baking and stuff. Any other questions? Feel free to ask me. Okay, another question from Roy. Can Dad's characters be imported and modified inside CC3? Yeah, absolutely. So CC3 has a really cool tool. The pipeline version has a really cool tool called the transformer tool. Let me just move this out of the way here. Where is it? I believe mine might be over here. Well, normally it's on the toolbar. Anyways, when you import in a character, where is the transformer tool? My whole layout changed. Now I'm totally lost. Yeah, here you go. Create transformer. and go to CC3 plus, and then you just basically import in your G3, G8, or is it V3 characters or M3 characters? I believe it's those 3 types of characters you can import in from DAZ just by a single click right here. All right. Okay, I can't really answer your question about Geralt there, Miguel. Although I think we're all looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077 coming out in a few days here. Freddie, for beard adjustment, it's kind of similar to what I showed earlier with the scalp. Again, there's presets for beard adjustments. I guess I can make this lady a bearded lady. Are we in? Yep. Hair can be found here in the section here, body hair. There's beard right here. So just throw in a beard like that. That's the easiest way to start it. I think there's a couple of embedded beards right here. So just throw these in, and then there's parameters you can use to adjust the thickness of them, and so on and so forth. Man, she's gonna look pretty messed up. Too bad we didn't keep that tattoo on her face. All right, here you go. Obviously, we need to make sure we have the head layer selected here, or head material. So there's beard hair, and then there's beard base. Various parameters you can adjust in here. Expansion should have an effect on this one. A little bit of an effect, yeah, so you can get, so again, expansion just kind of increases the area where it's covered. A little bit of additional stubble. Tons of parameters down here to mess around with. This one here, expansion. Okay, and all those various values. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but as long as you know where it is. So Robert, looks like you're having a better time with Indigo than iRay. Yeah, I haven't used iRay in a long time. I should get back into that. Yeah, so there's definitely ways to add more eyebrows, Luis. Just kind of what I showed earlier, the adding the eyebrows there. Do you need 32 gigabytes for premium SkinGen? No, absolutely not. I'm only using 8 gigabytes of video memory on this, and it's performing decently. You know, I'm probably going to upgrade next year, but for now I'm okay. David asks, when will you be able to remap hotkeys so we can navigate the same as Maya? I believe there is a way to remap the hotkeys. If you go to our forums, revolution.com, remap hotkey. I don't know how to change hotkeys, just like in Maya. Oh, there you go. Shazam. Oh, there is no options right now. Sorry to get your hopes up, but yeah, that's maybe something we'll have in the near future. I believe that's a requested feature that a lot of people have asked us for. So yeah, I guess not possible at this point. Okay, another question from Patrice. Sometimes when layering the face, the color on the body slightly changes. How do you get the color on the body to stay consistent with the color on the face when using SkinGen? So sometimes the body the color of skin on the body will adjust according to the face. There's various ways to get that to adjust separately. But again, I'd recommend just giving me an email, kai@revolution.com, or you guys can always check out the forums as well, forum.revolution.com here. We have tons of, you know, especially in the character creator section here, tons of people. It's very, very active. Tons of people asking questions and answering questions. This is probably the way to get your fastest answer. I'll throw this in the chat window for you guys, this link here. There we go. Yeah, very active forum for character creators. So a lot of ways you can ask questions there as well to many of our veteran users. Yeah, so David's asking about Marvelous Designer 10. We are working on videos right now to show you how to bring in stuff from Marvelous Designer, the new version, into Character Creator 3. So just keep your eyes open for that. That's going to be released in the next month or two, I believe. Robert asking, is this going to be optimized for the M1 Silicon Mac chip? Probably not, just because we don't offer a Mac version yet. Cartoon Animator 4, possibly in the future here. Okay, I got a few more easy questions here. Yeah, so Roy, I kind of showed how to bake stuff earlier. I think that you may have asked that question before I showed that. If you want to review, you can always review the video a little bit later. Let's go through the easy ones to answer here. Okay, so Eric has a video to show. Yeah, so definitely we need some more. We definitely need a lot more hair, and hair is one of the last frontiers of. There's a question from Eric, or comment from Eric. Really, hair is one of the last frontiers of, realistic human characters, especially in a real-time environment. We're working desperately on that to get that better. Carlo asks, is there auto setup out for Unity 4. Or Unreal Engine 4.26? Not yet. We're still in 4.25, but I think that'll be released in the next month or so here, because we're keeping up to date, definitely on Unreal Engine stuff. So just check back in the next month or so here. To answer Roy's question, there's tons of Toon characters for CC3. You can find those in the content store. I won't go searching through it right now. Thank you, Carlo, for being with us today. So Nick was asking about careful when adding too many layers. I guess the audio kind of cut out there. So when you have too many layers, it just takes more resources off your system and slows down performance. So when I showed how to bake and how to freeze the layers or make the layers static, that's how you can resolve that issue. Yeah, so Luis asks an easy question. How can you make your character look at the camera in iClone? Very easy. Select your character. We have to have the camera first. Create camera. And select our character, not our hair. And then go over here to attributes. And where is it? Look at camera somewhere down here. Pick target. Look at camera. Hello. And you can rotate around her face. And she will continue to look at the camera. Lighting from this angle looks kind of cool. And then she'll be like an owl and turn around 360. I guess not all the way. Okay, cool. That's how you look at a character. A few more questions, and then we'll skedaddle. John asks, are there any plans to do some sort of geograph system like in DAZ, or another way to do more extreme topology changes like adding appendages? I'd recommend, John, checking out the ZBrush tutorial series that we have available. That talks a lot about more extreme topology changes on the character. And yeah, a lot of it does have to do with adding accessories, things like horns and stuff. Obviously, you want to add accessories. But generally, you can adjust the topology without adding or removing too much stuff. And I'm not sure about the geograph system question, though, if we're going to incorporate anything like that. But we do have the GoZ pipeline, which, in my opinion, works quite well. So Roy asks, can you turn CC3 Plus characters into Toon-looking characters? Yeah, absolutely. There's the morph. I can even find one right now, probably. Go into morphs. Probably something named Toon. So cartoon body. So this is a content pack available from the content store. In the head, there you go. it's going to look really weird, obviously, with this face, but there you go. And there's texture presets for them as well, which make them look a lot more flat, or more like cell shading type toon stuff. Okay. Last question is from Vadim. Is it possible to create a dynamic wrinkle map in CC3? Yeah, it's not able to. We're not able to do a dynamic map right now, but there are. I mean, you can adjust certain values in iClone in real time. So what I'd recommend doing, we have some like way more advanced tutorials that go into details, especially some of the stuff that came out in our character creator feed competition. Really recommend checking those out. There's a lot of stuff to cover there that I have not really even gotten into. I'm fairly amateur when it comes to the artistic side of things. I'm just kind of here to explain things, but yeah, there's a lot of other really good tutorials on our YouTube channel that I'd recommend checking out. And also in the Learning Center, if you go to Character Creator, Revolution, whatever. Probably would have been faster if I just went to the main site. But lots of stuff in our Learning Center here as well, guys, under Learn Tutorials. You're probably aware of this, but yeah, go to here and I'll throw this in the chat window for you. And then looks like we'll end off our webinar. Yeah, so a lot of stuff in here. There's especially the master classes. The Sefki Ibrahim one is amazing. This one right here, the guy's like the man in the black hat or something from Westworld. I believe that's his name, if he even has a name. But this is like way more advanced, and here he's using a lot of custom maps and even hair card generation to create very, very wispy hair. So if you have the skills and you're very familiar with this stuff, stuff like this is really, really intense and really good to look at. I recommend checking out this series specifically. This one right here is a bit more about animation and in Blender and stuff. Again, these guys are career artists, so recommend checking them out. Luis Duarte, this one here as well. This is more for toon designs. Recommend checking out all these series. They're free to check out on our site, so highly recommend checking them all out. Julio, I think we're gonna just end off there, guys. We went through a bunch of questions today. Hopefully that answered most of what's concerning you. And again, you can always come and check out our webinar tomorrow. We'll go get a bit more into custom tattoos, custom texture maps, and morphs and custom normals and all that fun stuff. But yeah, for now, everyone, thanks so much here for attending. And I hope you have a good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and stay safe out there from the COVID stuff. And yeah, I think hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you fill out the survey and you get the 10% discount for the content store. And I'll bid you all adieu. Thanks, guys.